Want to bet? Then get in on the action at Sports Interaction. The boys of summer are back on the diamond, and March Madness is on deck. Bet pregame, live in play, or on one of our many prop bets. Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, play, and cash out. Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. Or in Ontario, download the app now using the QR code at the bottom of the screen. 19 plus, and please play responsibly.
Game over! Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.
Yo, yo, yo. What is up? What is up? What is up? Welcome back to Game Over Edmonton. It's your boy, Avry Lewis McDougall, here in the host chair tonight. The Edmonton Oilers knock off the league best Boston Bruins 3-2 in regulation in a come-from-behind win? What? Oh my goodness. Bet you didn't expect that one, folks. And today, I got a guest on the show, a first-time guest on Game Over Edmonton. It is Brett Howard from the Only Bruins podcast. Brett, what are you doing? Welcome to the podcast, Brett. Good to have you on tonight.
Hi, thank you for having me, Avery. I'm really excited to get into this and talk some hockey here.
No, of course. Wanted to have you on, talk about the game, get a Bruins fan perspective for tonight. And, well, first of all, I just want to say, we know how dominant the Bruins have been all season long. They've been bar none the best team in NHL. They're on pace for the best record. So, I mean, just what are your thoughts after a game in which the Bruins get 2 goals in the first? They look good. They get goals from Marchand in the first, Pasternak, and now they still lose. What are your thoughts on this team falling? Because giving up a 2-goal lead is something that Boston hasn't really done at all this year.
Yeah, it's not really on brand for us this year, to be honest. I was just on Twitter before we hopped on, and there's mixed emotions going around, definitely. But I made a tweet, and I was pretty much just saying, the goals against for Boston that happened tonight, a Grizzlick slip up. There was a bad pass out front or behind the net from Swayman, and I can't exactly remember the other one. But there was 3 mistakes that happened that don't normally happen for the Bruins this season. It was kind of lapse in error, judgment, if you will. So I don't think that we're as worried as especially being off for 5 days. I don't think the fan base is as worried as people would think we are. But it definitely sucks losing after being so dominant this year, especially in a game like this that we've closed out in third periods over and over again. So I don't know, it was definitely tough to watch, but the team has just been so dominant all year. It's like 10 wins, 1 loss, 12 wins, 1 loss. It's hard to put this one in perspective, if you will.
No, I totally get that. And you mentioned the win streak. This is a game in which Edmonton snaps Boston's 10-game win streak. It was for me, I thought it was a very strong character win from the Oilers. And it's funny because the Boston Bruins, for the most part, they shut down McDavid. But Edmonton is a game in which Edmonton gets secondary production. They get scoring from Darnell Nurse, Ryan McLeod. I'm sure it must be tough to see, yes, we shut down McDavid and Draisaitl, but yet Edmonton depth scoring steps up tonight for the victory.
Well, and that's the thing, like, I don't understand the discourse around the league this year. Like, Edmonton's a good team. They had a good trade deadline. Like, they brought in Ekholm, and I swear he played like 45 minutes tonight. The guy was all over the ice. He was everywhere. He hit DeBrusque. He was hitting Pasternak. He was getting in everybody's face. So, you didn't see that depth scoring 10 days ago, and I don't know if there was the shock of awe or the best team coming into the league. Our goalie scored. I don't know if he scored before or after that game, but it's Big Brother, and you heard McDavid and Draisaitl talking about it in the playoffs last year when they got bounced from Colorado. There's good teams out there, and sometimes they just beat you, and that's what it comes down to me tonight. Like, if you look at Edmonton, like, you get 2 of the best, arguably the best players in the world on the ice at different times too, not on the ice together. So it's hard to shut that down. The top line for the Bruins had a really tough night tonight. Marchand looked a little off. DeBrusque didn't look at himself after that Ekholm collision, but I don't know. I think the Oilers deserve a lot more credit than they've been getting this year, especially like I'm not the biggest Ken Holland fan, but he's put together something decent this year. I was questioning the Barry trade, but it looks like it's really working out with Ekholm back there. It looks like he's that type of defenseman they've been looking for years now.
No, I totally agree with that, Brett. And I've been critical of Ken Holland from almost day one from when he was hired. And no, I
Mm.
agree. I mean, Mattias Ekholm was the kind of D man this team needed. And he's played 4 or 5 games now, and he's been the perfect fit for this franchise that badly needed some defensive help for guys like Darnell Nurse.
Yeah, and you hear too, like I live in Canada, right? So I see the Canadian media, and you hear about how excited the Ekholm's wife and family were to come to Edmonton. Like they're from Sweden, right? Like they like
Yes.
to ski, they like to be outside, they like the winter weather there. So it's the same thing as what Lindholm said when he came over from Anaheim. This is more his vibe, like in Boston, right? It's a lot more back home. Sorry, it's a lot more comfortability. So I honestly thought that Ekholm trade was a slam dunk, and you didn't have to give up guys like Broberg, Holloway. You know, you kept a lot of those guys intact. So I was really impressed with that pickup, and you saw it tonight. Like they shut down Ekholm single handedly shut down our top line, and it takes a lot of the pressure off Nurse. So kudos to Ken Holland.
No, of course. And we're talking off here about how this could potentially be the Stanley Cup final. And the more I watch things, like this really could be, because I look at Edmonton and the division they're in, the Pacific Division, even though Vegas is on top right now, that is, I've said it before on this show, that is the most volatile division in all of hockey. We don't know who's going to win this division
Mm.
still. It could be Edmonton, could be Vegas, could be LA. And in a year in which, Nashville is on the bubble, Colorado's been banged up, and Boston been a juggernaut. Like this is a great year to see possibly Edmonton Boston meeting up for all the marbles.
Oh yeah, I said it to you before we hopped on. Give me 7 games of that. I hope the Bruins come out on top. Believe me, because I've already seen them lose Game 7 at home. I don't need to do that again. But yeah, like it was electric up until the final seconds. Like you got McDavid coming down on a breakaway on Bergeron with no goalie, and Bergeron just like stacks the pads real quick. Like I couldn't be. Yeah, it was a loss, but it was a great hockey game, and that's what matters in the end. Like these two teams, two storied franchise who have unbelievable talents, future Hall of Famers on them, just going head to head, battling it out, best line against best line. And like, yeah, we didn't have Ullmark in net tonight, but if you look at Swayman's past 10 games and his numbers, I pulled them up before we came on, but prior to today, they were identical to Ullmark's number coming into this game. He was posting a 1.89 goals against average and a .936 save percentage. Like that's elite goaltending in this league. So it's like you can't even fall back on, oh, this was our backup goalie, because Swayman's been proven himself this year that he is a legit 1A. It's just Allmark's having the season of the century so far.
No, of course. You guys, and yeah, it's a great tandem in Boston. I remember when Tuukka Rask retired. I remember the question marks of, oh, what's Boston going to do net? There's no more Rask. What are they going to do? And Swayman and Ullmark have been phenomenal for you guys. They've shown Bruins fans that, hey, goaltending right now is in a great place going forward. And yes, Tuukka Rask is going to be a future Bruins Hall of Fame. We're going to give his number in the rafters. The succession plan in Boston net has proven off to be a wonderful thing right now. There's no reason to panic if you're a Bruins fan watching the tandem in net right now.
Yeah, and a lot of that goes back to goalie Bob. I don't know if he's talked about much in Canadian media, but he's been with the team for years. He helped Tuukka Rask mold his game. I think he was there for Tim Thomas. I'm not 100% sure on that, but you hear all the praise that Swayman and Ullmark give goalie Bob, and it's just amazing to see Ullmark. Last year at the beginning of the year on my podcast, I had a prediction that Allmark won't win the Vezina in his first year, but I think he will in the second year. And that was not me just being like, oh, I think we got the best goalie. That was just me looking at goalie Bob and the way he can turn goalies into these elite talents in the league. And Allmark has all of the accolades to be that type of goalie, right? Like he's a big guy, he moves well, he's athletic, and now that his knees are finally healthy and he's been working on the strength of them, he's just been unstoppable this year. And he can score goals. So it's like, what are we doing now?
That's been pretty cool. That would have been pretty cool to see him scoring a goal, because the goalie goal is one thing that you might get once every 10 years. Like that's the thing where you're gonna be paid, that's a luck thing. I would rather see, personally, I think it's cooler to see a goalie goal than a goalie fight. That's much more common, but I thought it was so cool because that happens at once every 10, 12 years, really.
I know, right? And I don't think Vancouver fans were too happy that it happened against them either, right? Another dunk on the city, but no, don't, I've been to Vancouver many times. Beautiful city, but the rivalry's there.
No, exactly. It's just so funny how they're still Vancouver fans. I know probably some Vancouver fans who are watching right now. I know Boston fans still like to rub in the fact what happened in 2011. Bruins fans still love to get that one over on you guys.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah, it's a good banter back and forth. Like I said, I'm Canadian, right? So there's all types of fans around me. So I've been into it with Leafs fans, Vancouver fans, Montreal fans. Doesn't I got Calgary fans that don't like me. It's all good.
So I want to ask you, Bray, as someone who is a Boston Bruins fan, just as an outsider, what are your impressions of Connor McDavid this year? Because it's always fun asking outsiders who maybe don't watch him every single game their assessments of him because he has 54 goals. Could have had 55 empty netter tonight,
Mm.
missed twice. Just what are your thoughts on his play? Someone who is on pace to get 157 points, a mark that seems ridiculous in what is considered the hardest era of hockey.
I actually have a running bet right now that he's gonna hit 150, so he better get the 150. But I had a battle with somebody today at work that he is the best player I've ever seen play the game. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he's the GOAT. I know there's Wayne Gretzky, Gordie Howe, like the list goes on, right?
Mhm.
But to watch this guy I watch him as much as I can, and I'm a hockey fanatic, so I will literally just ISO cam my eyes just to watch McDavid around the ice and what he does. And people don't give him enough credit for what his play away from the puck. Like I was watching him tonight and some of the reads he was making, like Boston made a line change and he almost got a breakaway. And I was like, nobody in the league, maybe McCarr, McKinnon, a couple other guys they have that hockey sense to do that. But it's just been phenomenal. And even as a Bruins fan, like you hear Marchand and Pasternak and DeBrusk skates with him in the summer sometimes. He's one of those guys. It's just like you got to hope that he doesn't have one of those nights against you. And he did in the 10 days ago against us. We were able to shut him down tonight, and maybe that's something that played into the loss tonight. Maybe they were overlooking him too much and giving up chances. To players lower down in the lineup. But like I said, it's unbelievable to watch him. We're watching greatness, and history is just being made in front of our eyes.
No, it totally is, and even with this loss tonight, Brett, do you still feel this Bruins team can break the NHL record for most wins and points in the season? I know it's a lofty mark, but they're still on pace to do it. Do you think they can do that? Because even with this loss, slowing down the Boston Bruins for very long doesn't happen very often.
Well, that's the thing with this team, right? Like since Monty's come in, he's completely changed, not even changed the culture, but just changed the vibes in there. Like that's the one thing on Bruins Twitter right now. We're all saying the vibes are immaculate. They had their siblings come on the trip to Dallas and Nashville. It's just nothing. It seems like nothing can bug this team. Like yeah, they have the memory of a goldfish right now. They're gonna have meetings about this game and see what went wrong and work on these mental mistakes that they made in tonight's game. But I really hope they break the record. But you keep hearing the players in the locker room and post media scrums. That's not what we're going for. Like a lot of the guys on this team have won President's trophies before and lost the cup that year. So it's something that I don't think they're taking lightly. It's a very last dance situation, if I could say that, with Bergeron and Krejci, and I
Mhm.
think everyone knows the severity of this season.
No, that's totally fair, and that's a great point though. Even though they have a chance to break history, a lot of guys have already been there. They've already won Presidents trophies. They've already won Stanley Cup. They already know what it's like to be the top team in the league, record or not. So really, right now, the goal is another Stanley Cup. And one thing I like about the Boston Bruins is that this is honestly one of the more balanced teams in the league. I know you got
Mm.
Pasternak over 80 points, but you've got multiple guys with 40 points or more. And even with no Taylor Hall right now, this is still a team with so many guys who can burn you, be it the Krejcis, Bergerons, Charlie McAvoy, Pavel Zaka, and then you guys go to deadline. I said it before, the rich got richer. You guys go out and you get in Dmitry Orlov and Tyler Bertuzzi. I mean, that is how you build a that's how you build a championship squad. Even though you're the best team in the league, you still go at the deadline and you don't stand pat. You go and load up some more by bringing in Bertuzzi and Orlov. That's how great teams find a way to win.
Well, let's talk about Bobby Skorlov for a second, eh? Like, what? Look at this run he's on right now. It's unbelievable. This is a testament to Montgomery and his system. You saw it in Dallas, you saw it in St. Louis, and now you're seeing it in Boston. It's him. He's the defense whisperer. Lindholm's game has picked up. I saw I think I forget which analytic guy it was, but he did best defenseman of the year through analytics, and Lindholm was number 2 behind Fox, and it's like not even getting talked about at this point. And then you go in and bring another top 4D in Orlov. You have Carlo, who's a Bruins fan. He's a Bruins fan's whipping boy, if you will, but he's a top 4 defenseman in this league. And then like you said, Hall goes down. Which one thing I want to say about that is, like, we were talking about guys wanting to win. Well, like Hall, he's won trophies, but he's never like won before. Like really, maybe in junior he's won. I can't really remember that if he won one with Guelph, but it. He wanted to play so bad. Apparently, he's been playing through this injury for a while, and you saw his numbers drop off a little bit since Christmas. And that's kind of like the rumblings going around. And then Don Sweeney just says, well, hold up. 2 of our left wings went down. Hey, Stevie Y, what are you up to? Do you want to give us Bertuzzi for picks that aren't going to matter right now if we win a Stanley Cup? So it was an unbelievable deadline by Don Sweeney. I just kept getting surprised more and more. And another guy not getting talked about enough is Garnet Hathaway. He is a Bruin through and through.
No, that's a great point. And full credit to Sweeney, that deadline, he made a lot of masterful moves, and that's the front office that is finding ways to improve and retool. I gotta admit, I'll say as much. Full credit to players when this team brought in Mitchell Miller. I love the fact that this team condemned it entirely. That is the one thing I will give a knock on Neely and Sweeney for even considering that, man. But the fact that the rest of his team has gelled and found ways to keep winning, and he mentioned Taylor Hall. He's someone. You mentioned Taylor Hall. I remember Taylor Hall, the Oilers, and the Decade of Darkness, just what he was trying to do. Did everything he could, didn't win, went to New Jersey, was the MVP, still didn't win, and he's the kind of guy, like, how can you not root for Taylor Hall to get a cup after all he's been through in his NHL career?
Exactly. Isn't it kind of crazy? We had both 1-2 picks in that draft now, Sagan and Hall. Right? That's another Don Sweeney right there, man. And like you said about the Mitchell signing, I just want to speak for Bruins community as a whole, because I know that we didn't take that lighthearted, and it upset a lot of us. I don't want to get into it too much, but like you said, it is a stain on Don Sweeney's resume for this year. And to be honest, I don't think he should win GM of the year just for that. I know people are starting to talk about it now, but I just think that it was a sucky situation, and I'm hopefully it'll get resolved in the summer with a contract situation. But to see they went up to Toronto and they lost that game, and the team just looked deflated because you could tell that they didn't want any part of it. But to touch on Taylor Hall, I've always been a Taylor Hall fan. My favorite thing to say is Taylor Hall is a Bruin. Shout out Elliot Friedman on that one. But it's just like, you just want to see these guys win. Nick Foligno. I don't know. These guys that are journeymen that like you said, have gone through it, play the right way, play hard, and they don't want to they'd rather risk an injury than getting taken out of the lineup at this point. That just shows you how bad this team wants to win.
No, of course, totally. And I know we're about, I would say, 16, 17 games up in the season. So I'll ask you, who would you prefer to face in the first round Eastern Conference? Who is your preferred opponent, Brett, to take on in round 1?
Well, I'll tell you, not the Ottawa Senators. They scare me. I don't care what anybody says. A young team like that, we don't have a good history against them. They beat us this year. They have a good hard forecheck. So not the Ottawa Senators, if I could say that. If Buffalo slipped in, that'd be the most ideal situation, just because they don't have as many veterans. The goaltending, PUL's been great this year. He looked great in that game against us. I don't think the 7 spot that happened last week was his fault at all. It was just a young team not knowing how to contain a veteran core like this. I'd love to see Sid and Bergeron go at it in the first round again. Their goaltending doesn't scare me as much. Their back end's a little lighter. But to be honest, a lot of people want the Islanders as a rematch. And Sorokin, man, that guy's a goalie can just go nuts for 6 games, and then next thing you know, you're bounced in the first round.
No, that's very true. And you mentioned Ottawa. I like the fact you're avoiding Ottawa, because even though I cover a team in Western Conference, Ottawa can be a very scary team. I know earlier in the year, people predicted them to make the playoffs. They had a little bit of a lull. And now seeing what they're doing now in the East, like Buffalo, Ottawa, even Detroit. I know they're falling off a little bit, though, but Ottawa or Buffalo, if they get in, I really think they could win a round or two. I see what you mean by being scared of Ottawa. Like, if they get in, they could be that Cinderella team that shocks a lot of people in the Eastern Conference.
Well, that's the thing too. Like I just saw in my on my video that behind me, the Devils. Like everyone has the Rangers penciled against the Devils, and them the Rangers to beat the Devils. I'm not so sure of that. I watched them play. I watched them play against the Leafs like the other night. Yeah, Timo Meyer had a tough break at the line there. I think it was Marner went down and scored, but. That Devils team scares me. Like they're built like a good, fast, young team. They've given us troubles in the past as well. I wouldn't. I wouldn't be surprised to see them beat the Rangers. And I put them in that class of, like that Ottawa, that Buffalo, like they can score goals. They have high flying offense. Devils have one of the best defensive pairs in the league right now. So like, I know exactly what you mean with these young teams. The NHL is getting younger, faster every day.
No, it really is. That's funny we talk about. I know New Jersey when they played the Oilers in Edmonton. It's funny just seeing how I remember when the Devils used to be that team. It was a chore to watch New Jersey not long ago when the old trap hockey under Jacques Lemaire. I remember when they beat Edmonton. I remember they tied the game late. And one thing I liked the fact that New Jersey didn't do, they didn't sit back and play for overtime. They pushed in a tied game with 20 seconds left in the regulation and scored to win. Like, that's a team that says, screw it. We're not sitting back and playing overtime. If there's time on the clock, we're going to go for the win, no matter who we're playing against. I love that aggressive hockey out in New Jersey. I love that.
Yeah, and that like also you got Jack Hughes, like Brat's having a great year. Heischer's Selke candidate. Sorry, Bergeron's still in the league, so I don't know how anybody else can win one at this point. But you know what I mean? Like they got Palat on their third line, and I kind of questioned that signing when it happened, and like Tom Fitzgerald deserves a lot of props on this. He did a phenomenal job building this team. He told the fans, wait, be patient, and look, now you got the second Hughes brother coming in after college this year. So you got another defenseman that you could essentially plug in to this already great defensive core. So if I'm a Rangers fan, I'm a lot more worried than they make it seem out to be with the Devils matchup if it happens.
Right? It's scary. You mentioned Patrice Bergeron and him known for the Selke. Now, I want to ask a Bruins fan this. This is my idea. I've pitched for a long time. I'm a big hockey historian, so I know that in the WHA, the MVP trophy was called the Gordie Howe Trophy while he was still playing. He could have won his own award after his name. So my thing is, like, why wait for Bergeron to retire? Rename the Selke. Like, there's no real thing you can't rename the Selke after him while he's still playing. How gangster would that be? Like, he's won it so many times to rename the Selke, the Bergeron, while he's still playing. No rule says you can't do that.
Well, and it's like we're all in agreement too that like he's one of the best two-way centers of all time. So it's like he's a future Hall of Famer, sorry, gold medal winner. He was on that unbelievable World Junior team centering the Crosby line. Like the accolades just keep going on and on. So I'm all for it if we could push this. Actually, I'll go even one further. I don't like that there's only one Norris Award or one defensive award. That's the Norris. There should be a defensive defenseman award, the Norris, and then let's bring in the Bobby Orr Award for Cale Makar and Fox and all those type of guys, because I don't think guys like McAvoy and Slavin and, like I said earlier, Lindholm, there's obviously more out there that can't come to my head right now, but let's go even further. Let's get the Patrice Bergeron Award and the Bobby Orr Award. Let's do it right now.
That would be fun. That would be certainly fun to see, Brian. I know this game as well too. Edmonton comes back and wins 3-2. I know what is the temperature like in Boston right now in terms of, I know we mentioned this team on the short pace. Like, what is the temperature? I know you're not in Boston, but like, what is Bruins feel like right now? Like, what are fans how are fans taking things right now? Because this is a team that I mentioned on pace to have the best record in league history. Like, what are fans reacting like? How do fans feel about this team right now from what you see?
Yeah, so for talking, like I talk with my co-host Nick Busa on the Only Bruins podcast. He actually lives in Boston. I have a lot of friends that I talk through the internet that live in Boston, and they say the city is just electric right now. Especially with the Celtics were playing really good too. It's like the city just had this like unbelievable buzz around it, and it also goes back to, like, I just skimmed Twitter before we hopped on, and in previous years, people would be, oh my God, sky is falling, sky is falling. But I saw tonight that it's definitely mixed emotions, but you see more of, all right, it was 5 days off. You got the two best players in the world coming in. They were ready to go. Our guys were a step slow. A couple guys had bad nights, but I think the overall vibe is just what an unbelievable season this has been. What a treat it is to watch. Like this, if this is Bergeron and Krejci's last year, I hate to be this guy, but if they get bounced early in the playoffs, I'm gonna be hand up. I'm gonna be the guy that says I had the most fun watching hockey this year than I ever have before. I don't regret a second of it. I hope they get to do the thing. But yeah, like it's just been unbelievable. Like I said, vibes are immaculate right now.
No, of course. If anyone in Boston is saying, or a Bruins fan saying the sky is falling after tonight, that shouldn't be a thing. That should not be a
Yeah.
thing. Yes, tonight you do lose to the Oilers, a very rare game in regulation that you do lose. But again, you have 49 wins. You've allowed less than 136 goals this season. Like there should not be reason to panic. I mean, it was just a team that came in tonight and beat the Boston Bruins, a team that was able to get scoring without the need of Draisaitl and McDavid. Like there should be no panic among a Bruins fan after tonight, even with this loss.
Yeah, we like the next best goal differential is like 50 goals less than us. Like I don't know how anybody could be upset with the play at this point. Like you said, it's been an unbelievable season to watch. And that's the thing too. Like it's not about the wins and losses with this team. It's about like what they want to do and the vision that they have set. Like when I watch their post game pressers and stuff, even after they win, like I call Foligno the second captain because he just is. Like he's unbelievable for the locker room. He had a tough year last year, but like look, he comes in this year after being comfortable, bounces back, and you keep hearing him saying like, yeah, this is okay, yeah, this is all right, but this isn't, we still have things to accomplish. We still have goals we have set. This is a team that's only lost, like, I don't have it in front of me now, but you know what I mean? A handful of games at this point. And so it's crazy to see the direction and determination that the players have. And like Monty said, like he's the luckiest guy in the world. He gets to coach like one of the best locker rooms or cores he's ever been a part of.
No, of course. No, what Jim Montgomery has done so far with the Bruins is amazing, and it's great to see him back in the league with what he's gone through. It's amazing to see what he has done behind that Bruins bench lead this team. Before we go, bro, I want to ask you a few points on one thing that I hate. I'm such a anti offside review guy, and we saw tonight the offsides come into play and offside review. What are your impressions? Like I am just so mad about how offside is applied and how reviews work and how you can review a goal when offside happened like 8 minutes ago. I'm exaggerating, but like, what are your impressions of that? We saw it tonight because I think the outside challenge in general is broken in the NHL, Brett.
Well, it's like I've heard Paul Bissonnette say before, there's too many stoppages and breaks, and like it's slowing the game down. Like I get it with sports betting coming in, everything has to be to the book and cross cross the T's and dot the I's. But it just like it kind of like you said, it was 35 seconds after the goal or before the goal was scored, and it was like super close. Like you could have, you know what I mean? Like Yamamoto bumps into, I think it was Bertuzzi or Zaka, and the guys just like cross at the same time, and then you get possession. But possession reviews, like when you're crossing the blue line, like we saw with Cale Makar in the playoffs last year against Edmonton, was it not? Where he pushed the puck across the line, kept his stick up. Like, what are we doing at this point, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's coming away from the game itself and the beauty. Like you said, you're a hockey historian. It takes away from the beauty and the art of this amazing sport that we love. And like I said, I get that with sports betting and everything, everything needs to be done exactly how the score is happening on the ice, whether it's fair or not, or whether what's it called, the review needs to happen or not. So you saw Woodcroft right away. I even said when they crossed the line, I was like, oh man, that looked offside. And then I think Louis DeBrusque said it as well, and then like 35 seconds go by and the Bruins scored. I forgot about it at that point. So I agree with you. It definitely throws a wrench in the game, but I understand why it's in the game.
Yeah, now I'm also hoping that we do get it looked at, and you also the board governors do consider that a change how it's done, because how it's applied. I just am not a fan of how it's done, Brett. And before I let you go, I want to let you plug all your socials. Where can people find Only Bruins? Where can you find the podcast? Where are you on Twitter?
You can find our podcast on any network. Our podcast handle is at Only Bruins One, and my Twitter handle is at Brett Howard _. That's BRETTHOWARD _.
Awesome. That is amazing. And folks, those of you who are watching tonight, of course, as always, like, subscribe, and comment to the SDPN channel. Like all of our stuff with Game Over. Support every host. We all do great work here on the channel. I'm on Twitter at Avry, at AVRY. I'm back again hosting for the Leafs Oilers game on Hockey Night in Canada. Brett, thank you for doing the podcast. Gotta do it again sometime with you, buddy. You were an amazing guest here on Game Over Edmonton. Thank you so much.
No, hey, Avery, thank you for having me. I'm back. I'm just a DM away. Whenever you need me, I can come on talk Oilers if you want to. I watch way too much hockey at this point. So we're gearing up for the playoffs. I'm excited, and I'm truly honored to be on this with you. Like I told you before, I've actually watched some of your videos and listened to your podcast before. So this is, I'm truly humbled for this experience. So thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, Brett. You do a lot of good stuff too with Only Bruins. Anyways, gang, we're out of here. I'll talk to y'all again on Saturday night for Hockey Night in Canada, recapping Edmonton, Toronto. Anyways, that's it. We are out of here. Later.
Game over! Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.